本期2015年投资大师经验谈节目中，我们采访到了独立股票研究机构 Argus Research 的 CEO 和产品战略部主席。他们认为，美股2015年仍然会上涨，大盘股比小盘股更值得期待。同时，美元已经短期见底，而黄金、贵金属都会迎来上涨的一年。在板块和行业方面，他们看好消费板块和医疗健康板块。
Argus Research Corporation 是一家专业的股票研究机构，在其1月份的表现报告当中，买入评级的股票年回报率为12%，超过了标普的9%，在所有的机构当中排名第4，超过了 UBS、高盛等大投行。今天呢，我们也是非常有幸的请到他们的 CEO 以及产品战略主席，我们来听一听他们对股票有什么样的见解。Well, thank you so much for joining us, John and Steve. During the first month of 2015, we've seen volatility in blue chip stocks. So do you think this year will be a good year for small cap companies?
Well, that's a great question, Maggie. And we sure have seen a lot of volatility in the marketplace in the first month of 2015. We were down 3 or 4%, but we've made that all back now. So we're optimistic for the overall market in 2015. We think stocks are probably going to rise 8 to 10%. We like the large caps more than the small caps here. If you look over the past 5 years, small caps have outperformed and the valuations are a little higher. So we like the lower valuations on the large caps, at least at this point.
And maybe just in terms of your volatility question, the expectation is that we'll probably see more volatility than average as we go through the year. So there's a lot of changes going on in the global economy with interest rates, with Fed policy, with currency rates that are taking wide swings, with energy prices that have had pretty big variations. So those kind of things tend to result in some volatility. But still, as John mentioned, we do see the upside this year.
Well, I'm very glad you brought up energy. So how do you think the energy stock is going to perform in 2015?
Well, energy's tough, right? We've seen oil prices fall more than 50%, and that's brought the stock prices very low. And there are some forecasts that oil prices are going to fall further. I don't think so. I think oil has hit a bottom in the mid-40s, and I think that's going to provide support for select energy stocks. The ones I like best are the distribution pipeline companies that are bringing the increased supply into market. I also like some of the explorers, especially the explorers that have good balance sheets and growing dividends. I think some other areas in energy, though, are going to be problematic. I'm worried about energy companies that have a lot of debt. That's going to be hard to refinance. And a lot of the service companies are facing CapEx cuts by the big exploration companies. So I'd be careful in the service group.
Okay. Which sector or industry do you think will be the most active this year?
Well, let me talk about a couple of our favorite industries. One is the consumer sector. We think the consumer sector is going to outperform in 2015 for a couple of reasons. For one, a lot of consumers have jobs, right? We had a good payrolls report just on Friday. The unemployment rate has come down for the past 5 or 6 years, so consumers have money to spend. Those who have invested in the market over the past 5 years have stock gains behind them, and a lot of homeowners have seen their housing values increase over the past couple of years. So I think the consumer is pretty confident, and it's going to be a good year for consumer stocks. The other sector I'll mention real quickly is healthcare. There's a real research and development renaissance going on among the pharmaceutical and biotech companies. A lot of important new products are coming out to market, driving sales and earnings for the healthcare group.
What about gold? How do you think the gold price is going to perform in 2015?
Well, we've seen gold fall sharply for the past 2 or 3 years, but in the last month it's started to stabilize and move higher. And we think that's an important inflection point and a signal for the future.
So do you think there is a buy signal for gold now?
I think there's a buy signal for gold, and a lot of that's linked to the forecast for the US dollar. As gold has plummeted, the dollar has soared. And I think the dollar is done climbing so sharply for the balance of the year. So with a stable to falling dollar, I think you're going to see better performance in gold, and I think that's going to be a signal for the entire commodity group. I think we'll have a good year for commodities this year.
Well, one last question. So for individual investors, how can they benefit from institutional research reports like yours to make better trading decisions? Is there anything they can learn from your ratings and reports?
Well, Argus has been producing research since 1934, so we're now in our 80th year, and has a very wide range of products from market and economic commentary to fixed income strategy, and of course the bread and butter of the service, the over 400 recommendations, ratings on U.S. stocks. And asset allocation recommendations also, so investors can use that to build portfolios, to build well-diversified portfolios, to watch our sector recommendation strategies and our asset allocation strategies to build very strong portfolios. If you're interested in dividend yield, if you're interested in growth, in biotech, let's say, there's a range of names that can help you build solid portfolios.
Maggie, we see that people like to approach the markets the way we do, from a fundamental approach. It's not a technical approach, it's not a quant approach. We have analysts out there meeting companies, meeting with management teams. We have an economist making a forecast for the economy and the markets and interest rates. So when people approach the markets the way they do, they can then use our products, as Steve said, to fill in their own portfolios. And we even have off-the-shelf portfolios that they can use too, whether they're a growth investor or an income investor or even an aggressive growth investor. Our model portfolios have been very popular too.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.